Hello. Thank you for your interest in Flames, and thank you for your interest in learning how to develop simulations using Flames. In this brief video, I'm going to give you just a few introductory comments about developing simulations using Flames that I hope will be helpful. First, just a reminder, something that you've already heard many times already before, the overall purpose of Flames is to reduce the time and money it takes to develop extremely capable simulations. That's why you would choose to use Flames to develop a simulation as opposed to using some other system or developing your simulation from scratch. You'll get a much more capable simulation, and it'll take you much less time and much less money to develop and maintain that simulation if you develop it using Flames. So just how is it that Flames can reduce the time and money it takes to develop a simulation? First of all, and you've already heard this before already, it's probably why you're interested in Flames, there's a lot of software that you need for your simulation that you don't have to write. It's already been written. And most simulations, Flames provides well over half the software that you need. So there you save a tremendous amount of money. You don't need to develop that software. You don't need to test it. You don't need to maintain it. You don't need to keep it up to date. Turnitin does all of that, and you get that right off the shelf when you start your simulation based on Flames. But for the software you do need to write, the software that is under your control, that simulates the systems of interest to you, that you have in source code form, Flames also saves you time and money because it dramatically simplifies that software. You have a very rich class library, and every model that you develop is inheriting one of the Flames classes, and that brings in a lot of functionality that you don't have to worry about writing yourself, worry about debugging yourself. And what it does is it cuts down the number of lines of code that you have to write. And generally speaking, the lifecycle cost of software is directly proportional to the number of lines of code. So if we can cut down the number of lines of code that you have to write, we can reduce the time and money it takes to develop and maintain that simulation. So you'll learn that as you're working with Flames. And then last, a little side benefit that you'll reap as you use Flames over time. If you develop software for one simulation, it's oftentimes the case that you can reuse that software in another simulation. Flames has a plugin architecture, and you can load multiple plugins simultaneously. So plugins you develop for one project, you can use over again, sometimes without modification on another project. So in order to provide these benefits, Flames is huge. It is a massive software system that has a tremendous amount of capability. And as a big software system, there's a lot to learn to know how to use it correctly. So the learning curve is steep in some places. But I can assure you the climb up that learning curve is worth it. There's so many things that you will benefit from in using Flames that you won't know about if you don't take the time to learn it properly. So that's really what these training videos are about, and the documentation is about. We want to teach you all the things that are available in Flames so you can take advantage of them in your development. So here's a few tips, just a few high-level tips. First of all, I highly encourage you to complete the prerequisites that are listed for a given set of training videos. For example, there are several prerequisites that are listed for other training that you should complete before you start the development training. The speaker in the training video is assuming that there's things that you know about Flames when they are teaching you new concepts. And if you don't understand those things, you're not going to understand properly perhaps what the speaker's trying to tell you. So take the time to complete the prerequisites. I also encourage you that while you're watching the videos to follow along with the corresponding documentation. We've put a lot of energy into the documentation. We are software developers ourselves. We know how hard it is to develop using software that's not well documented, and we put a lot of energy into our documentation. To a large extent, the training videos follow the documentation. So have the documentation open, follow along with it. At least you'll become familiar with where to go in the future if you have a question about something, and you can go back and find it maybe more quickly in the documentation than you can by trying to find it in the videos. This one I can't emphasize enough. Take the time to learn Flames best practices. to learn how it is that we suggest you solve certain problems and implement certain kinds of software. We've built well over 100 different simulations with Flames. It's been applied in almost every possible application you can think of where military or transportation type simulation is being performed. The system has a lot of capability, and if you're not aware that it's there, you might go off trying to write something on your own that maybe isn't fully compatible with Flames, and it certainly may be something that duplicates something that's already there that you don't have to write. You won't reap the full benefit unless you are aware of what's there and you take advantage of what's there. We find this true even for people that are working here at Turnitin. They have perhaps worked somewhere else. They've done software a certain way, and they're trying to solve a certain problem, and we find out that they're writing something that is duplicating something that's already there, and we have to make them pause and say, look, you need to go and always look to see what Flames has available before you start trying to write anything new from scratch. Follow our class hierarchy, put things in the right place. There's lots of best practices that you should follow, and we just highly encourage you to do that. There's a lot of features of Flames that if you don't follow the instructions, you won't be able to take advantage of. So pay attention to the training videos and to the instructions. And along the way, if you have a question about what's the best way to do something, or you need help figuring out how to develop your software, please reach out to us. We are experts at using our own products. We can point you in the right direction. And if you really need a lot of help, we can even provide paid consultancy support and actually help you write your software. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you need help, we'll provide a lot of help, even just for free, just to make sure that you're successful using Flames. Again, thank you for your interest in Flames, and thank you for your interest in learning how to develop simulations using Flames. Thanks for watching.